StrayAllDay.com. Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that, Dre? That is this thing called the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is we need M.E.I. instead of D.E.I. Oh, yes, we're back talking about this. We need to address this again. So before we get into this, let me remind you of two things. First of all, my daily motivation and Monday motivation text message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week. All you got to do to receive these is text me for free to join my text community. The number is 305-384-6894. And as soon as we start sending those messages out again, everybody who is in my texting community shall be receiving those messages. You'll get a message from our bot. Then moving forward, you'll be hearing from me. I do actually read and reply to my messages, so you can actually be texting with me. So you can just save the number as Dre Baldwin in there, and you can text me. I don't mean I always respond to you because I get a lot of messages, but I do respond to messages. So when we start sending out again, so if you text me now and you don't get a response, understand our bot's not active. But as soon as we turn it back on, you'll be getting those messages. So just text me now so it's taken care of. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That's the place where I do all my coaching. If you like to have me as your direct coach, if you like to be able to call on me, message me, talk to me on a consistent basis and share with me what you're doing, where you're going, what you're working on, or maybe you're not even sure what you're doing. You're not even sure where you're going. You're not even sure what to work on but you know you have something that you want to achieve and you know you're not there right now. You would like to have insight from someone like me and instruction and strategy and help and direction into getting there. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com so I can help you. This is what I do for a living. In case any of you didn't know, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can learn more about what we're doing, who we've helped, how we help them, and you can take yourself to the next step in our process. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. On out the way, let's get into this topic here. Again, we need M.E.I., not D.E.I. Now, this concept of M.E.I. over D.E.I., I have to admit, I wish I didn't have to admit this, but I will admit it, that I did not come up with this on my own. So I stole this idea. So I told you, one of the reasons that this show has as much content as it has is sometimes I get a good idea from someone outside of myself, and I just co-opt the idea, and then I come up with my own language around it. I flesh it out, make it a lot bigger than whatever that person came up with, and then I create my own. So I borrow. All right, no idea is completely original. Good artists, and when I'm doing this is artistry. What I do here on this show is part of my artistry. When I'm doing my business stuff, that's the business side. So I'm an artist and a businessman at the same time. And the whole point is sometimes I get an idea from someone outside of myself. So this one I'm giving credit, and I always give credit when I get an idea from somebody else. But now this entire concept, this whole episode, I give credit to me. But the seed that I planted in the ground that becomes the oak tree is me, but the seed, I got to give this credit to this guy named Alexander Wang. And Alexander Wang isn't Alexander Wang some kind of I don't know if he shares a name with some kind of fashion designer, but it's not that Alexander Wang. Not Alexander. I think it's called Alexander Wang, isn't it? Isn't it a fashion something? Let me look it up. I'm looking it up right now. I think there's let's see. Alexander is Alexander McQueen. You know them. I'm just looking this up right now. Is this a thing? Yeah, Alexander Wang is an American fashion designer. And let's look this person up. Yeah, Alexander was born in 1983, so he's a relatively young guy, and he has an eponymous fashion brand. That's the name is named after him. Yeah, I thought he was. Now I don't own the Alexander Wang clothing. At least I don't think I do. It's not that Alexander Wang. He's a different guy. All right. So this Alexander, the way that he spells his name, I don't know if this is how he really spells it, but it doesn't have the E at the end. So it's Alexander, Alexandr. There's no E there. So maybe he spells it that way just to be different from the fashion designer. Maybe that's how it's really spelled. Whatever. He has a company called Scale AI. Okay, so I don't think Alexander Wang, I don't think the fashion designer is in the AI business. I think this is a different guy. And his company is based out in San Francisco. And he posted a letter online that gave me this idea. I'm going to read his entire letter in full. It's not that long. I'm going to read this letter as the intro to what we're going to talk about here today. And then I'm going to go into, actually, this letter is a nice length letter. And then we're going to go into our points. Okay, so I'm reading right now. I'm going to quote. This is a quote coming from Mr. Alexander Wang at a company called Scale AI, because I borrowed this idea from what he wrote in this letter. So I'm going to give you the letter so you have a full context on why I'm talking about this. All right, here we go. Quote. Meritocracy at Scale. That's the title of the letter. In the wake of our fundraising, I've been getting a lot of questions about talent. All of our external successes, power breakthroughs in L4 autonomy, are partnering with OpenAI on RLHF going back to GPT-2, supporting the DoD and every major AI lab, and the recent $1 billion financing transaction. All of it is downstream from us hiring the best people for the job. Talent is our number one input metric. Because of this, I spend a lot of my time on recruiting. I either personally interview every hire or sign off on every candidate packet. It's the thing I spend the plurality of my time on easily. But everyone can and should contribute to this effort. There are almost 1,000 of us now, and it takes a lot to hire quickly while maintaining and continuing to raise our bar for quality. That's why this is the time to codify a hiring principle that I consider crucial to our success. Scale is a meritocracy, and we must always remain one. Hiring on merit will be a permanent policy at scale. It's a big deal whenever we invite someone to join our mission, and those decisions have never been swayed by orthodoxy or virtue signaling or whatever the current thing is. I think of our guiding principle as M.E.I, merit, excellence, and intelligence. That means we hire only the best person for the job, we seek out and demand excellence, and we unapologetically prefer people who are very smart. We treat everyone as an individual. We do not unfairly stereotype, tokenize, or otherwise treat anyone as a member of a demographic group rather than as an individual. We believe that people should be judged by the content of their character and, as colleagues, be additionally judged by their talent, skills, and work ethic. There is a mistaken belief that meritocracy somehow conflicts with diversity. I strongly disagree. No group has a monopoly on excellence. A hiring process based on merit will naturally yield a variety of backgrounds, perspectives, and ideas. Achieving this requires casting a wide net for talent and then objectively selecting the best without bias in any direction. We will not pick winners and losers based on someone being in the right or wrong, quote unquote, race, gender, and so on. It should be needless to say, and yet it needs saying. Doing so would be racist and sexist, not to mention illegal. Upholding meritocracy is good for business and is the right thing to do. This approach not only results in the strongest possible team, but also ensures we're treating our colleagues with fairness and respect. As a result, everyone who joins Scale can be confident that they were chosen for their outstanding talent, not any other reasons. M.E.I has gotten us to where we are today, and it's the same thing that'll get us to where we're going as we embark on our next chapter, focusing on data abundance, frontier data, and reliable measurement to accelerate the development and adoption of AI models. Signed, Alex. Close quote. So that is the entire letter that Mr. Wang wrote for his company, which is called Scale AI. And a couple things I want to point out here, we're still in the introduction of this episode, is that technology companies can raise a lot of money quickly. He just said 1 billion with a B dollars that they raised in a company that I never even heard of. And they have over 1,000 employees. And he said he has either met every single person they've hired or he has signed off on every single application packet of a new person that got brought into the company. And he said he spends the majority of his time looking at the candidates that they hire above everything else he could be doing in the business, running a company that just got $1 billion in funding. He spends the majority of his time looking at the new people that they bring in, and their focus is bringing in the most talented and most skilled people. And he said they were moving forward. This is the emphasis of what the whole letter is about and what our episode is about today. They're hiring people based on merit, based on ability, not based on where you're from, not based on your sexual orientation, not based on your race, not based on your religion, not based on any of that nonsense, which I have many times talked about here on the show. And we're going to talk about more because he offered a great alternative to it. In addition to, let me tell you the episode where what was it called? I did a couple episodes talking about this. Episode 2170. I said we need sameness, imbalance, and exclusion, which is kind of like I guess a sister or a cousin to what he's talking about here: meritocracy, excellence, and intelligence. And then I also did what was that episode where I talked about doing DEI the right way. I did a 3-part series on this, or I called it DIE actually, because that's what it called. It calls businesses to die when you do DIE. So I told you how, if you wanted to do diversity, there's a good way to do it. I told you how to do the same thing with inclusion, the same thing with equity. based in episodes 2307, 2308, and 2309. So today, now that I have borrowed this concept of M.E.I, which again is merit, excellence, and intelligence, let's get into how these can apply in the exact same way. Point number one, topic once again is that we need M.E.I instead of D.E.I. Number one, merit. Merit is the first point. Definition of merit is the quality of being particularly good or worthy, especially so as to deserve praise or reward. This is the only thing that any type of personal or professional advancement should ever be based on. And this is the reason why I come from a sports background. And anytime I've talked about this garbage concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I've always explained that my background is in sports. In the sports world, you can't move up just because you're diverse. We got a whole team of guys who are 6'5" and you're 5'2". We're not putting you on the team so we have some diversity in height. Can you play? If you can't play, you're going to be on a fucking team. We need people who can perform. Merit is the most important thing. And everything in life should be based on merit. And if you can't perform, then you can't play. That's it, period. If you can't perform in the classroom, you flunk. If you can't perform on the court, you ain't on the team. You won't play. And if your team doesn't perform, you're just going to lose every game. That's how it works. That's the way it's supposed to work. All right, life is not an equal deal. Everybody's not supposed to get an equal amount. This whole concept of equity is complete garbage. That everybody's supposed to get the same outcome. No, they're not. How's everybody getting the same outcome and everybody got the same skill? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense logically, but somehow this has been passed through in these bureaucratic environments, and you have people getting consulting fees to go and teach this, quote unquote, teach this to people in government, to teach it to people in academia, to teach it to people in corporate, and they're sitting there nodding their heads to this bullshit, and it makes no sense. This is the reason why I'm not corporate. I could probably never work for or with the government, and I damn sure couldn't work in academia. It wouldn't work. All they had to do was Google me, and it'd be over. It'd be over in 5 minutes. Anybody even thought about it? All right, this is the only thing that any type of advancement should ever be based on is merit. It should never be based on something as flimsy or ridiculous as diversity. Diversity is about let's get a varied group of people in the organization just for the sake of having them there. So if we get diversity in the group, then that means we're going to be a better group. How does that make any sense? So if you have a team full of white men, and you say, all right, now we got to bring some black women in here because that'll make it more diverse. That'll make the organization better. How? Logically, that makes no sense. Now, if these black women actually bring some skills to the table that make the team better and allow the team to perform better, I'm just using white men and black women as an example here, by the way. If they can help make the situation better, then great. But it should be based on their merit, not based on their immutable characteristics, like you're a woman or you're black or you're gay or whatever people are going for these days. It should never be based on let's just get some diversity just because. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. The more I talk about it, the more annoyed I get with it because there are people still buying into this bullshit. That's the reason why I'm here. All right, so it gives me the energy to do episodes like this one, knowing that people are still buying into the nonsense. It is much better to pick people based on merit if your goal is performance and results. And what do I always say here? We are in a performance and a results-based business. You've heard me say that many times, right? If your business is based on performance and results, then you should pick people who will best help you perform and produce results. So again, if I got a basketball team, you're 5'2" and Asian, you can't jump, you can't dribble, you can't make a layup, then why would I want you on the team? Are you going to help us perform better? No? Okay, then explain to me why you should be on the basketball team. Because you give us diversity? I don't need your diversity. I want to win games. If that means everybody on the team looks exactly the same and we win the championship, good. We won the championship. Our goal ain't diversity. Our goal is winning the championship. See what I'm saying? The diversity of skills to help us win the championship, that's the kind of diversity we want, not diversity of color. But I got to get some black people on the team just because. I got to get some white guys on the team just because. I got to get some Asians. I got to get some trans men on the team just because. It doesn't exist, by the way, but you get what I'm saying based on what we're seeing in society today. All this is nonsense. It's a performance and a results-based business. So I'm never going to choose a person based on an immutable characteristic such as gender or race. Everyone knows this. Everything I'm explaining here so far on a logical basis, all of you get it. I'm preaching to the choir here. All of you understand this. But since so many people are able to benefit and still benefiting from this facade of diversity, again, they're using diversity in the wrong way. That's why I did those episodes. I did episode 2307. Diversity, if someone just explains it the dictionary definition, then they're right. All right, yeah, I want to have a diversity of people on my basketball team. I need a guard who can dribble. I need somebody who can make 3-pointers. I need a wing who can defend other scorers on the other team. I need a power forward who can throw his body around and bruise people in the paint. We need a center who can protect the rim and score around the basket. And we need some people off the bench who can help. Oh, yes, I need that kind of diversity. So by the dictionary definition, yes, that's diversity. But the diversity way that it's being used societally is let's bring in different colors, different genders, different sexual orientations, just because we said, just so we can say that we did it. All right, that's bullshit. And this is the wordplay. This is how people trick you with the wordplay. So the definition of diversity pulled out of the dictionary. Yes, diversity, you want that, right? Who will be against that? Nobody. But then the way that it's employed, that's when they trick you. And I talked about this in episode number 2605, the Satanic attack on language. First trick that Satan played on man in the Garden of Eden was tricking Adam and Eve. He actually tricked Eve, and then Eve tricked Adam into biting into the apple from the tree, which God said you could eat freely from any tree in the garden except that one over there. And Satan literally flipped God's words around and got Eve to eat from the one tree that God said don't eat from, and that's when all hell broke loose. That is a satanic attack. And the satanic attack on language, I use that word satanic for a specific reason because that's exactly what Satan did. He took language, got people to agree to the language, then flipped it around and deceived them with some wordplay, some clever wordplay. And again, when we talk about these people who push in diversity, equity, and inclusion, these are not idiots. These are not stupid people. These are very intelligent individuals. They are very smart because you got to be really smart to trick people with words. All right. Most of you are over the age of 21. All right, you got 20, 30, 40 years of using words. So how can somebody trick you with language? They got to be pretty damn smart to do that, don't they? All right, you're not dumb. All right, so they got to be smart in order to trick you with words. This is what these people are doing. This is why a lot of them come from the academic world. These people are bookworms, really good students, they're well-read people. All right, they're not dummies. All right, and that's how they're able to trick you with words. Because if they were stupid, they wouldn't be able to trick you. You get it? Satan ain't no dummy. And again, I use the word satanic for a specific reason there. I'm not doing it to be hyperbolic. So, as I said, this facade of diversity, many people pretend to not understand it. All right, this is why I'm grateful for my background in sports, because in sports, merit is the only way you can move forward. You can't play, you ain't playing. You can't play, you ain't making a basketball team. I was in college my sophomore year, right? I'll tell you the story. There was this guy on campus. I believe his name was Charles, if I remember properly. Now, our basketball coach, he had his office on campus, and I remember I would sometimes stop by his office to talk to him, whatever. And not anytime, but many times during our basketball season, my sophomore year, I would stop in our coach's office. The coach's name was Kenny Macklin. And I would stop in Coach Macklin's office, and this guy, Charles, was not on the basketball team, but he hung around. No, he would hang around the gym all the time. He would come to all the games. He would play pickup basketball, I guess. I don't even remember seeing Charles play pickup basketball, but I knew he was interested in basketball because let me tell you the rest of the story. Many times when I would go to Coach Macklin's office during basketball season, even a little bit after basketball season, Charles would be in there sitting in Kenny Mackin's office holding a basketball. Like this is like some fucking Disney movie. Like the guy always walking around holding the basketball. Like he got this hoop dream. Like yeah, basketball is my life. This guy, he wasn't even on the basketball team. And I don't remember ever seeing this dude playing pickup. And we had one gym on campus, so if you played pickup, it was one place to play. And I played pickup all the time. So anybody who played pickup, I knew them. They knew me. I did not know this guy. He knew who I was because there wasn't that many black guys on campus, but this guy was always in the campus. He was always in the office, rather, holding a basketball. I'm like, who is this guy? What is this guy doing? So he claimed he wanted to be on the basketball team, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know if he had this situation. Yeah, I think it was. So later in the season, I think season was over. Coach Macklin put together like a 3-on-3 basketball tournament amongst the players who were coming back the following season and a couple other guys who were like tangential to the team. They wanted to be on the team, but they weren't on it yet. So this is basically their way of kind of getting their feet wet. So Charles was one of the guys who got put on one of the 3-on-3 teams in this tournament. And we got on the court and listen, I'm an athlete. So again, I can size people up pretty well. I can meet you in Whole Foods and you tell me you play basketball. I can tell if you can play or not just by watching you walk down the aisle, the aisle of the grocery store aisle, if you can play basketball or not. I can size people up pretty well. I could tell Charles couldn't fucking play. He couldn't play his way out of a wet fucking paper bag. I knew this guy couldn't play. And he's walking around holding a basketball like that's supposed to mean something. He was a bum. Charles was a fucking bum. And he, needless to say, he never played on the basketball team at Penn State Altoona while I was there. I'm bringing all that up to say, only way he get on the team is through merit. He didn't have the merit because he didn't have no game. In sports, your merit is your ability to play. That's it. That's your merit in sports, your ability to play. That's diversity. All right, we just need a bunch of people who can play. Period. There's another guy I'll tell you about. Same year, same season. A guy named Rob. Now, Rob was roommates with one of the players who was on the basketball team. So they were friends. So Rob, I guess he felt like he had an inside track to get on the basketball team because he was friends with somebody who was on the team. Now, the guy he was friends with, he could actually play. At least he could play enough to be on the basketball team at the school at the time that I was there. So Rob, he's hanging around the coach, doing the same thing Charles was doing. Going to the coach's office, hey, let me get on the team. I want to be on the team. I can play. I can help the team out. I'll sit on the bench. I'll play hard in practice. I just want to be on the basketball team. Now, our coach, good thing. I come up from an era. I don't know what coaches are doing these days because I'm not in the sports coaching world, the universe. I know I have many sports coaches who listen to the show, so I don't know what y'all are doing these days. But the coaches that I grew up playing with, they didn't play this bullshit, diversity, equity, inclusion bullshit. In the sports world, it hasn't really gotten in yet, for the most part. But our coach pretty much told Rob, dude, if you're gonna be on the basketball team, somebody got to get off the basketball team. I'm not just putting you on the team just to put you on the team. All right, are you better than somebody on my current roster? If so, who? And then you got to prove it. So one day we had practice. Practice ends, and this guy Rob is standing over on the side. Now we all know this Rob, but we all knew who Rob was. Again, not that many black guys on campus. We all knew who Rob was. He's hanging out in the gym during practice. The coach usually kept the gym closed during practice. So why is Rob in the gym? All the other stragglers were outside of the gym. He's in the gym. So we all noticed it, but nobody said anything. So practice ends, and coach says, wait, we're not done. He points at Rob. He says, hey, everybody, pointing talking to the players, this guy, Rob, he wants to be on the team. And then he points at our starting point guard, this guy named Lamar. He points at Lamar and he says, well, he wants your spot. And we all looking around like, because we all know, I knew Lamar. Lamar was, we were in the same suite in the dorms. The first year I was at Penn State Altoona, I lived in the dorms. Lamar was right next door to me. And I knew Lamar could actually play. I knew Rob could not play. So when the coach said he wants your spot and pointed at Mar, I'm like, it just flashed through my mind because the thing that happened next, I didn't have much time to process this. Coach said, all right, let's go. He put the ball down and these guys are going to play one-on-one in front of all of us. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's no way that Rob can win this game because Rob can't play. And Mar actually can play. So they're going to play one-on-one. The game is to go to 5 points. And unfortunately, there's no suspense to this story. Mar beat Rob 5-0, and we never saw Rob on the basketball court ever again while I was at that school. The whole point being, in the sports world, you got to earn your way in. If you can't play, it's going to be obvious, and then you got to shut the fuck up, and there's nothing else to be said. And I could tell you 100 more stories about bums from when I was in college, but we ain't got that kind of time. So you got to actually be good, okay? Because everything is based on an objective judge in the sports world. It's called the scoreboard. In the sports world, we have a scoreboard. It's objective. You can't blame it to being biased, and it just tells you the truth. That's it. Whereas in the business world, in the academic world, in the corporate world, in the government world, everything is subjective because it's based on people's opinions. And people's opinions can change based on the day of the week, how hot it is outside, what side of the bed they got up on. It could change based on a whole lot of things. The scoreboard never changes its approach. It's the same every single time. That's why this bullshit has not crept into the sports world the way it has into the worlds that many of you operate in on a daily basis. And me too. So I'm not an athlete anymore. I got to deal with this bullshit now. Not as much as maybe some of you have to, but it still affects me in small ways. See, human beings with their emotions and feelings and biases and menstrual periods, we got to deal with their feelings and all this bullshit. The scoreboard doesn't have any of those problems. Scoreboards have no bias. Therefore, you can't lie to the scoreboard. You cannot appeal to the scoreboard's emotions. You cannot stroke the scoreboard's ego. And the scoreboard does not play politics. See, that's why none of this bullshit happens in sports. Everything in life should be judged this way, based on merit, which is a reflection of performance and results. That is the reason why. Reason why I say we're in a performance and a results-based business, because I come from the sports world, and the only thing that matters in sports is your performance and your results. I don't care what you do in the bedroom. I don't care who you are dating. I don't care if you're married or not. I don't care if you have kids. I don't care about your political affiliations. Can you play? That's all I want to know. If you can't play, I don't want to talk to you. Get out. Why are you in the gym? Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is we need M.E.I, not D.E.I. Number 2, excellence. This is the E. So we got diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're changing it to merit, excellence. The first one was merit. Instead of diversity, we want merit. Instead of equality or equity, rather. Equity meaning everybody getting the same outcome, which is complete nonsense. No, we're going off excellence. Definition of excellence: the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. Now, this can be juxtaposed against equity. Equity is this ridiculous idea that everybody should achieve equal outcomes. And you can credit Mr. Ibram X. Kendi, race hustler extraordinaire, for popularizing this concept. And by the way, I believe it was either the New York Times or the New Yorker magazine wrote this long article on Mr. Kendi and his downfall, his ongoing downfall. Which, if you didn't know about, you go look it up. Just look up Ibram X. Kendi and his ongoing downfall. And by the way, I was on X, formerly known as Twitter, and I was about to say something about Mr. Kendi, and I went and looked up his account on X because I was going to tag him in whatever I was going to say, or I just wanted to see if he had said anything about it. And lo and behold, I don't know when or why or how this happened, but Mr. Kendi has blocked me on X. He blocked me. Now, I've never had any direct communication with this guy, so maybe he found out about my episodes where I broke down his ridiculous concept of anti-racism, which is episode number 1788 through 1791. He did a whole book on how to be an anti-racist, which got a whole lot of white people scared and a whole lot of black race hustlers repeating his bullshit. And I did a series on that, but that was years ago. So I don't know when he blocked me. I don't know why he blocked me. Again, I never had any direct communication with this guy, but I am blocked on X by Mr. Ibram X. Kendi. He is the person who I first heard really popularize this concept of equity, and he has it in writing in his book, so he can't backtrack on that like he didn't say it. But anyway, there's some things going on with him right now. If you want to read about it, go find that New Yorker or New York Times magazine article, where they're talking about Mr. Kendi's situations, and you can draw your own conclusions from that. Anyway, what I'm talking about is equity versus what we need is excellence. It makes no sense for equity to even be an aim because not all humans are the same. We are not all equally skilled. All right, two people from the same house are not going to achieve the same outcomes. I have a sister. We're less than 1 year apart in age. Less than 1 year? Yeah, less than 1 year apart in age. She has no athletic ability. She's not an athlete. She didn't play any sports. I didn't have much academic. I had academic ability. I did not have academic achievement. We just talked about merit, right? She was a very good academic achiever. My sister's a college professor these days because she climbed the ladder of academic performance. She did great, and now she's a professor, which is basically as high as you can go when you do good in academics. I didn't do good in academics. I did good enough in academics. I graduated a 2.6, I believe, GPA. I think it was a 2.6, which is basically the definition of good enough. All right, that's who I was as an academic performer. So I got the outcome that I deserved. She got the outcome that she deserved. I'm bringing that up to say we come from the same household with the same parents. We got completely different outcomes in different spaces in life. Why? Because we ain't the same. So how you expect two people from different parts of the world or different neighborhoods or different households to get the same outcomes if two people in the same house don't get the same outcome? Because human beings get to make their own choices. And you can't control that. No amount of legislature can get the same outcomes for people who make completely different decisions. Does everybody understand that? Everybody, y'all all already understand this. The reason I'm emphasizing these points so much is how is it that we have policies that are flying in the face of this logic that I'm giving you that you already understand that maybe you haven't articulated yet, but how do we have policies that go against this? How? Explain to me where do we go wrong? Excellence, folks, is about giving credit, opportunities, and rewards to people who have actually earned them. What a novel idea. Again, this is a concept which everyone understands on a logical basis, but because so many people have benefited from handouts given to them under the guise of equity, they pretend to not understand this. And this is the issue. This is the issue right here. There are many people, everybody understands what I've said on a logical basis. There's not a single person out there, even if you disagree with my overall views, you agree with what I just said logically. Okay? But because there are people out there who have benefited from handouts given to them under the guise of equity. In other words, there are people who have advanced, people who have gotten jobs, people who have been given positions, people who have made money, people who have bolstered their careers on the basis of equity, not based on performance, not based on being excellent, but based on being equitable. All right, a bunch of white guys got this position, so we got to put a bunch of black people in this position. Those people did not earn that position. So they wouldn't openly or publicly agree with anything that I said here because it would undermine the position that they hold. You get it? And this is why they got to disagree with me if they ever talk to me publicly. A lot of these people end up blocking me if we ever engage with each other. I've been blocked by a lot of people on social media, not because I personally attacked them, but because I've shared logical points that they couldn't refute. So instead of allowing that point to stay out there, they just block me so that they can ignore it. They're basically like the monkey covering its ears and covering its eyes. So they can't see it and they can't hear it. There's a lot of this going on. And as we move forward, we'll be getting into this a little bit more as we go forward, depending on what happens with the rest of 2024, if you know what I mean. But a lot of these people pretend to not understand this. One reason why I became interested in sales, for example, and in turn became an entrepreneur, was that it was explained to me. This is how I came to understand the concept of sales. Is that if you perform better than your peers, then you make more money than them. In other words, if all five of us work at the job, but I'm doing a better job than the other four, I should make more money than the other four. I said, that's exactly how it should be. Why would I make the same amount of money if I'm doing better work and more work? And somebody said, well, that's the way the sales world works. I said, okay, I guess I'm a salesperson. I've been a salesperson ever since. That made perfect sense to me the first time I heard it. Why would I want to earn the same amount of money as my peers if I'm performing better than them? All right, why should me and my peers get the exact same opportunities if I'm a better performer than they are? It doesn't make any sense. I want my excellence rewarded. And there's no logical or sensible answer to that question, which is why equity makes no sense. In the name of equity, people who have performed at a high level have had their results pulled down, and people who have performed at a low level have had themselves bolstered up, even though they didn't earn their positions. I've done episodes where I call people out. For example, my sister, as I told you, she's a college professor. She wrote something once that I quoted from a paper that she wrote, that she put out there as a professional. And she said, high performing students should be pulled down so that the lower performing students can catch up. I'm paraphrasing right now. I'm not reading verbatim what she said, but it was, in essence, that was what she said. And I said, that's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. That's a ridiculous thing to say. First of all, why would you pull a high performing student down so the lower performing students can catch up? Again, this is a competition. Academics is a competition. And secondly, I was referring to my sister, you were a high performing academic. If we actually applied these rules, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in. You got there because you were a high performer. How are you going to say pull the high performers down now that you're out of the game? That doesn't make it. You got to the top of the building. Now you want to pull the ladder away for the higher performing students. You were one of them. All right, it was a very hypocritical thing of her to say, and I pointed this out. And lo and behold, she blocked me on social media. That really happened. Last time I checked, she still had me blocked on social media after I pointed this out. Again, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything that was really about her. I may have maybe I added some other things in, and I guess she wanted to make that the issue, but that wasn't really the issue. The issue was I just quoted her. I just quoted you like, yo, you wrote that. You put your professional name behind that, and now you don't want to go, you don't want to talk about it. But anyway, this is what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. Excellence should be rewarded, and if you're an excellent performer, then stand on it. Be an excellent performer. But let's not make it about equity when you didn't get where you got to by equity. At least I don't think you did. But hey, maybe we need to dig deeper. The whole point is, if you're a performer, you get the rewards. If you don't perform, you don't get the rewards. That's the way the game works. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, we're talking about M.E.I. over D.E.I. The I in M.E.I. is intelligence. Definition of intelligence, as opposed to inclusion, which I'm not a fan of at all. Intelligence says the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. Now, inclusion, this is what we're comparing it to. Of the 3 things in DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think inclusion is the worst one. If I had to say one is the worst, it's inclusion. That's the worst one. Inclusion is the concept that everyone should have a seat at the table and everyone should have a chance. Oh, this is bullshit. No, everyone should not have a seat at the table. If everyone has a seat at the table, there's no value to the table. See, I talk about this concept of the stage and the audience. I've been talking about this for over 10 years. You know what the value of the stage is? The fact that everybody can't be on it. See, if everybody's on the stage, then the stage doesn't mean anything. You ever go to a rap concert or see a video of a rap concert where the rapper's rapping and there's like 300 dudes behind him, all like singing along and dancing and ad-libbing and getting attention from being on the stage? I don't like those kind of shows. I don't want to go to a rap concert and there's one rapper and 100 other hangers on all on the stage. Now, I don't go to rap concerts, but if I did, I don't want the concert to look like that. I want to see the guy who's doing the music and the other guys who are going to do music, maybe 4 or 5, maybe at the most if it's a group. And I don't want to see nobody else on the stage. I don't want these other guys on the stage. Who are they? All right, we don't know their names. Get off the stage. See, the value of the stage is that there's a whole bunch of people in the crowd. See, if everybody's on the stage and there's nobody in the crowd, then it doesn't matter that you're on the stage. You understand? That's the value of the stage, is that there's an audience. If there's no audience, the stage doesn't matter. So when you have inclusion and everybody's on the stage, well, who cares that you're on the stage? The stage ceases to matter. The stage only matters because there are people watching you. Inclusion is this concept. Everybody has a seat at the table. No. If everybody can have a seat at the table, I'm not coming to the table. What's the point of me being there? It means nothing. It has no prestige. It has no status attached to it. Does status matter to me? Yes, I have ego. Does it matter to you? Okay. Not everyone gets a chance at everything because not everyone has the same skill set. Not everyone has the same inclinations. Not everyone is interested in the same things, even if we are all presented with the same opportunities. See, I'll use my sister and myself as an example here. Again, we both had the same opportunities. I could have tried to be, is a better way of saying it. I could have tried to be an excellent student the way that she was. I wasn't interested. So I got a 2.6 GPA from a good enough college. All right, that's what I got because that's what I wanted. That's what I was interested in. I decided to go to athletic and entrepreneur route. She decided to be a great student and she climbed the ladder and she did great at it. That's what she was interested in. And again, we come from the same household, same background, same parents, same everything. Different interests. So inclusion would mean making me a college professor. That wouldn't make any sense. I wouldn't last too long as a college professor. I thought I would last a semester as a college professor. That wouldn't work. Why? I'm not interested in that. So inclusion means I got to go sit at that table. Inclusion would mean she would have to go play pro basketball in the WNBA. What would that mean? It doesn't even make any sense, right? It doesn't make sense. That's what inclusion means. Not everyone is interested in acquiring knowledge and skills. And intelligence is about the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. And knowledge and skills are different in every space. I got knowledge and skills in one space. You got knowledge and skills in a different space. We're not interested in all the same stuff. Not everybody's interested in knowledge and skills, period, let alone in applying knowledge and skills, let alone in a way that matters. The whole concept of DEI is about forcing people into spaces that they otherwise wouldn't be interested in and excluding people who are actually interested and then having some mythical mix of individuals just to say that you had it. Are there a bunch of students who are not getting admitted to high level colleges, even though they got all the marks, all the requirements, they meet all the, what's the word I'm looking for? They meet all the, let's just say, qualifications to get into high level colleges, but they're not getting in because the school says, well, we can't have any more Asians and we can't have any more white people. We got to bring in some black people who otherwise wouldn't have qualified under, if we just had a blind acceptance situation, then it'd be a lot less of these people and a lot more of these people. And then people would attack us for not having the right numbers of inclusion. And then we don't want to deal with that attack. So now, you know, we're going to go by these quotas. And now people who deserve it are not getting it. People who don't deserve it are getting it. That's bullshit. This is why I prefer the sports world. Performance and results, not color, not gender, not quotas, performance. If there is a quota, the quota is your performance quota, not the color quota, not the gender quota, not the race quota. That's all bullshit. Everybody, have I said that enough times here today? There are corporations, academic institutions, and government organizations who have bought into this. They bought into it fully, like all the way. This is why I can't work in these places because I would be there for less than a week and I'm going to say something to somebody and it's going to be over that fast. And these organizations who have bought into this nonsense, it actually hurts their performance, it hurts their results, and it hurts the people that they are allegedly serving because they're not able to serve the people who they're supposed to serve at the highest level because you don't have the highest level people there. Again, that letter that Alexander wrote for his company Scale AI. What did he say? The most important thing we do here is bring in talent. We bring in high level performers. And the most important thing that I do as the person overseeing this company is see to it that we're bringing in the highest level people. If they're not bringing in the highest level people, guess what's going to happen? The performance of the company is going to suffer, and the results of the people who they're supposed to serve, their customers, is going to suffer because they're bringing in low level people. That's what happens when you start bringing in people based on anything other than their level of performance. That's why performance and results-based business is such an important emphasis point that I'm making so often here on the show. Let's recap today's class. Was again, we need M.E.I, not D.E.I. I'm not going to reread Alexander Wang's article, his letter. If you would like to read it, just look his name up. Again, it's Alexander. His last name is Wang, W-A-N-G. His company is called Scale AI, and just look up. It's called Meritocracy at Scale. That's what he titled it. You probably find it very easily on Google by the time this episode comes out. Point number one, merit is defined as the quality of being particularly good or worthy, especially so as to deserve praise or reward. Everything should be based on merit because we're in a performance and results-based business. Number two, excellence, defined as the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. Again, juxtaposes against equity, which is about everybody achieving equal outcomes, which makes no sense because everybody ain't good at the same stuff. All right, like I told you, a couple of bums who said they should be on the basketball team when I was in college, and our team wasn't even that good this particular year that I'm talking about. They still couldn't make the team because they couldn't fucking play. Was why they weren't on the team from the beginning. And point number three, intelligence, defined as the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. And again, this goes against inclusion, which is the worst part of DEI. Inclusion is about everybody having a seat at the table. Again, if everybody has a seat at the table, who cares about the table? Availability makes something go down. Scarcity makes the value of something go down. Scarcity makes the value of something go up. When it's hard to get a seat at the table, sitting at the table means something. When it's hard to get on the stage, it means something to be on the stage. If everybody can get on the stage, who the fuck cares about being on the stage? Nobody. And that's why intelligence, your ability to not only gather knowledge, but actually apply it and turn it into an actual result, that's hard work. And not everybody's willing to do hard work, which means not everybody should be willing or able to get on the damn stage because not everybody earned their way on it. Period. All that said, text me so you can be in my community. My number's down below in the description. Also, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You are working me directly, have me as your direct coach. That's the place where it happens. Again, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can read about what we're doing, who we're helping, how we're helping them, what the pieces of some of the skeletal pieces of what it is that we do. If you want to have me as your direct person, you listen to the show enough, you know whether it's a yes or a no. It's pretty clear to you by this point. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all